Hi, I'm Chris Haggis with ProWatercraft Racing, and in this video we're going to be installing the Fattie front sponsons to the Kawasaki 750 SX SXI watercraft. Here's a look at the product you'll receive. This is one half of it. We've already installed the other half. And you got the 7 screws that will be provided, instructions, and here's some of the tools we've used. Got some drill bits, 1/8 inch and quite a bit larger one to drill through the sponson. Got a hacksaw blade. We're going to be cutting out some of the foam on the inside. This is our silicone that we sell on ProWatercraft Racing. This is our proven silicone. Awesome stuff. Highly suggest you add this to your cart. We got some tape measure, drill bit, pens, drill guns. This is a good look at what you'll use. Don't use that. All right, so we've installed the right side on this 750 already, just to kind of practice, but this is a good look at where it's going to go and how it's going to fit to the hull. On the inside, we're going to show you what we had to do to the gas tank. Now the gas tank had to be moved over to the left, and you can see there's a gray piece of foam in there. And we did this because of the screws coming from the inside. So on the left side, we used the hacksaw blade to kind of saw out some of the foam to be able to push the gas tank over. We did have to pop the straps loose, but they went right back on. Here's a look at the foam. And you can silicone that right back in. It'll be fine. So when installing front sponsons, you want to be careful that you don't drill into anything on the inside. You have exhaust and you have water lines, you got steering cable and your electrical wires, start and stop switch, all this stuff you kind of want to make sure that it's free from the side of the hull. And when you do drill, you want to just be conscious of what's behind that area so you don't damage it. So one of the first steps you're going to want to do, and it's really helpful to have a friend, but you're going to want to measure from the back of the hull up forward to the front. And this is going to give you a mark in the back of the sponson. It's going to be 37 inches. Here's a look at the Fattie front sponsons from ProWatercraft. They usually come not drilled, so you'll need to drill them out. And we send stainless steel screws. You'll want to kind of use a drill bit where the screw doesn't really grab the sides very much. You know, it's around 3/16 or a little bit bigger of a drill bit. And we're just kind of giving you an idea of what we had to do. We had to drill into this to make these holes. And once you get it drilled, you're going to kind of put it up to place. You'll start with the rear and line it up with the mark. And it's good to have an extra set of hands during this process. So when you feel pretty comfortable about the placement, and you want to be careful that there is hardware holding on the front bumper or the side bumper, and you don't want to interfere that with the sponson. So don't let that trip you up. So when you're ready to go, and in this install, we kind of start from the center and work our way back. So you'll use your smaller 1/8 inch drill bit to drill into the SMC hull. And you want to do one hole at a time. So you'll drill a hole and then you'll put in a screw. There you go. Now you don't want to skip to the back. You kind of want to go right to the next hole. Yep, so you'll go in there and run another screw in. So you'll kind of work your way to the very back. And once you're done drilling all the way to the back, you can then start from the center and work your way forward. And this will give you the best chance to suck in the sponson to the side. Now in this area here, now you're going to be close to the exhaust. You want to make sure you don't drill into it. So another look just to make sure. So it's drill and screw, and if the screws are a little too long, coming close to whatever exhaust system you have, you can trim the screw a little bit and shorten it up just slightly, just so it grabs enough of your hull and not into any components on the inside. The SMC hull is not very thick. So you want to be sort of gentle when you're drilling in, not make the hole too big. If you do and the screw goes in and it slips, you'll have to kind of either find another hole or repair the hole, but you kind of want to make sure that the screw doesn't sort of slip or strip out. Gives the sponson a good snug fit to the hole. All right, so we have the sponson into place. This is sort of our dry fit. We're going to look at it from left to right, make sure that it's really close to the other side, up and down and forward and back. It looks very close, very similar to the other side. So the next step is kind of one of the more important steps. We're going to be putting some tape along the edge of the sponson and along the edge of the hull. And so this is going to help you when you go to silicone it and the silicone squeezes out. It's going to squeeze out onto the tape. You'll be able to wipe it up much easier and pull the tape. And so when you put tape on both sides, you definitely have a little bit of a gap, like a 1/4 inch gap, where the silicone is going to squeeze out, and cleanup will be much easier and the overall finish will be really nice. So now at this point we'll be able to remove the sponson. Dry fit's done, remove it, and we'll clean it on both sides. So now that we have the sponson removed, we're going to wipe the hull, we're going to wipe the sponson on both sides of it, of course, getting all the dust off. So when we use the silicone, the dust doesn't grab the silicone. So here's a look at our silicone, and we're going to apply it to the sponson. You want to be pretty generous with the silicone. Nice thick bead all the way around the scuffed surface. In the holes, for both sponsons, we pretty much use a half tube. So after you're done, you should have at least a half of a tube left if you bought a brand new tube. Get it all the way around. You want to get it across those dividers in the hole. When you have a lot of silicone on there, it is definitely going to adhesion to the hole is going to be awesome, and the sponson will never give you any trouble. All right, once we got the sponson covered with silicone, we're going to go to the hull. We're going to pump a little into each hole. There's 7 of them, so make sure you get them all. This is good because when the screw goes through, that it'll grab some silicone and keep it on the tip of the screw, keep it from cutting anything or even your hand. Gives it a good seal around the hole, keeps water out of the hole. So this is a necessary step. All right, so now that we're ready to install, we'll put one screw in. We'll kind of run it in a little bit so it barely pokes out the other side. This helps us line it up. We're going to start from the very back hole because the sponson and the hull is pretty straight at this point, so it's the easiest to kind of start. It's nice also having the tape. It gives you a little guide, shows you kind of where you're at with your sponson. It's not a bad idea to use gloves when you're doing all this. You know, you don't want to put silicone all over your tools, but if you got some rags, you can wipe it up pretty easily and keep moving forward. You'll do one screw at a time and work your way forward. Generally, we like to kind of run them in and just get them slightly snug, and then come back and give them one last check. All right, so you went all the way forward. Now this time you're going to go back, double check the screws, make sure they all feel tight and snug. If one does kind of slip a little, you know, you just you can pull it out, pump a little silicone in it, and run it back in, and it should be okay. You just want to be careful that you don't overdo the screws. See, it's got quite a bit of squeeze out of silicone. This is the time where you want to use your finger and a rag If you feel like you need to push the sponson in a little more, sometimes we wedge a piece of wood underneath the bumper to the sponson to push it up against the hull. So you'll start digging out the silicone from the little groove, what's shown, wiping it on a rag. This is kind of the messy part of the install, but with the tape, the end result is usually very easy, very good. So you get all that silicone off as best as you can. You don't want to have silicone all over the place because silicone really does grab water and affect the handling. So the cleaner the install, the better, like what you see here. So now once we got it cleaned up, you pull the tape and well, you can see how nice it does come out here. This is the first time these two guys installed these sponsons, and I think they did a great job. Jack was asking, well, how long do I have to wait before I can ride it? When obviously 24 hours is our suggestion. So that's pretty much our install. Check out ProWatercraftRacing.com, buy some swag,